Misinformation Helpline, how can I help you? Hi, it's me again. I was wondering if you could help me understand this phenomenon that I've been noticing in healthcare providers, but also in myself sometimes too. I'll do my best, tell me more. Well, I've noticed that misinformation that I see on social media over and over again starts to seem more believable the more times that I see it, which makes it really hard to decipher what's accurate versus not accurate because, as we both know, there's high levels of health misinformation on social media platforms. Totally. Could you give me some examples of what you mean specifically? Sure. So, I keep seeing posts about this water bottle that supposedly improves speech, sleep, attention, and digestion by strengthening the airway. And the more that I see it, the more I'm like, well, maybe? Or I've seen clinicians use things like button pulls or blowing bubbles to work on advancing feeding skills, which we should all know by now isn't effective. But it's being repeated by certain accounts online constantly. Okay. Or believing tongue ties cause bedwetting or low light laser therapy improves neuroplasticity. I know that it doesn't make sense, but the more that I see it, the more it seems like it could be true. I see what's going on here. You do? Yep, this is known as the Illusory Truth Effect. This is a type of cognitive bias, typically unconscious, where repeated exposure to inaccurate information may lead us to believing it is actually true, even when we knew it wasn't true to begin with. But why does that happen? Great question. So this is because the more frequently we see something, the more familiar it becomes, making it easier for us to process. And our brain loves to make shortcuts, also called heuristics, to help us make sense of information. This is even stronger if the misinformation already aligns with some pre-existing beliefs. That makes sense. Social media is also a platform that makes it even harder because there is a high noise to signal ratio, as well as data bias often built into the systems. Data bias? Yep. For example, algorithms can create echo chambers or filter bubbles, making it increasingly difficult for someone on these platforms to decipher accurate from inaccurate information. Yes, this is what I'm noticing. Of course, it's worse in some spaces than others, but I see so many colleagues adopting misinformation into their practices and beliefs, which ultimately affects patient care. And as we discussed, the Illusory Truth Effect tells us that if there's enough noise about something, it may lead people to adopting it into their beliefs and practices, regardless of if it's the best option or not. So what can we do to prevent susceptibility to the Illusory Truth Effect? Well, for starters, continue reflecting and asking questions like you did today. Remind yourself that just because you see something repeatedly doesn't necessarily make it true. Slow down and take time to fact check information that you see before adopting it into your beliefs and practices. Thank you so much. This was really helpful. Of course, call back anytime. Bye-bye.